What's up, Star Wars nerds? And on this edition of Hyperdrives, we're going to look at 5 figures I love that a lot of other collectors think are dumb. But before we get to those, I've got a couple of recent pickups to share, including this CZ4 figure from the 30th anniversary. This is a droid, of course, from Return of the Jedi from Jabba's palace. Wanted to pick this up to go with my Jabba's throne room, especially with that new Jabba set coming hopefully very soon, I think this week. But check out that face sculpt. Really good face sculpt on this droid, and some good weathering too. He's going to go great with that Jabba set. Next up, I picked up this Black Series Clone Commander Fox from GameStop recently. This was one of those Black Series figures that Hasbro reissued recently, and this one went fast, and this is just a great looking figure. I've always liked Clone Commander Fox. And I was really surprised on the back of the box, it actually says copyright 2024, because I had assumed when Hasbro announced that they were reissuing a bunch of these figures in the original packaging, that it was because they just had a bunch of stock laying around that they found like in a warehouse in Asia or something, and maybe that was still the case for the figures themselves, and it was just easier for them to reprint the original packaging than design new packaging. Either way, it was cool to be able to pick up this older figure at retail price. And finally, for pickups, you may be aware that I am trying to collect all of the Empire Strikes Back bounty hunters on vintagekenner 48 back C cards, and I've got these 3 here, and I finally got Dengar. Now, Dengar is nearly impossible to find in 48 back B or C, but I was able to find the 48 back B. Now, the 48B is basically the offerless 48A, but with the stickers added onto the card. So here is a 48C for Forlom. You can see it's actually printed on. That's the difference between 48B and 48C, is the offers are printed versus just a sticker slapped on. Now, I do prefer the 48Cs, but I had to go ahead and get this 48B because it's just so hard to find a Dengar in the 48B or C. But the most important thing is it's got that free Revenge of the Jedi offer sticker. I love that sticker. It's my favorite offer sticker in the line. And as I'm sure you can tell, the condition of this figure is not great. The bubble is pretty badly crunched, and there's a pretty sizable crease on the card as well. But the good news is I got this thing for a steal. I was the only bidder. I got it for the minimum bid, paid $185, and you can't beat that for a Vintagekenner mint on card that is so hard to find. Alright, so now I want to talk about figures I really love that a lot of other collectors think are dumb or gimmicky. And I want to start with the carbonized Cara Dune from the Vintage Collection. The TVC carbonized line got a lot of hate, and I did like them at first. I have soured on most of that line over time, but I still love this Cara Dune figure. I think the paint is excellent. I think this is a superior figure to the regular TVC version. Now, I admit the pants part is a bit much because those aren't armor, and so you probably don't want those to be metallized. But overall, I just love the paint job they did on this Cara Dune. Another line from Star Wars that's gotten a ton of hate is the Black Series Credit Collection line from The Mandalorian. And I'm here to tell you, I love that first wave of Credit Collection. Now, to be honest, when they released the second wave of the Credit Collection, I did think it may have worn out its welcome, and they should have just left it as the first wave, kind of make it a little bit more special. But this is beautiful packaging, guys. Say what you will about the alternative paint jobs they did on the figures, but I love the way these present. They look just as good on the back as they do the front, and these really are some of my favorite figures in my collection. At number 3, I have the Mandalorian Prototype Edition, another one that I really love the packaging on. Now, this is not my favorite prototype figure. That would probably be Boba Fett or maybe the Stormtrooper, but I picked this one because the Boba Fett and Stormtrooper was part of the first few releases, and those were actually fairly well received by most collectors. It was after those first few releases that many collectors really started to turn on this line and just felt it was just too gimmicky. And then once they went away from original trilogy characters and announced this Mandalorian prototype figure, I think that was the peak of the hatred for this line. But I'm here to tell you, I still love it. I will always buy this. I think these are the best things about the retro collection because the packaging just looks so fantastic. At number 2, I'm going back to carbonized, but this time for the Black Series. It's the carbonized Boba Fett. Another one I love the packaging. This one is a uncirculated CAS 90 grade. Now, before you freak out and think that I sent off a carbonized figure to be graded, I did not. I actually bought this from Hakes for $60. That is cheaper than it costs to get a figure graded if you include shipping at least. and it's just one of my favorite releases of Boba Fett just because it just looks so fantastic in the packaging, and I just love the paint job on this figure as a standalone figure. I wouldn't want to display this with other characters in a scene, for example, because it would look weird, but it still looks super cool on his own in that fantastic iridescent packaging. One of my favorite releases of Boba Fett. And my number one figure that I love that a lot of other collectors think is dumb is another carbonized figure, and it's the Black Series carbonized Paz Vizsla. This is still my very favorite Black Series figure release ever. I love the way this figure looks. The metallic really works for this one. Yes, I'm aware the colors aren't exactly matching canon for the show, but it's still a far superior looking Paz. It doesn't look gimmicky. It looks like armor should look, and it's so fantastic. It was actually the first figure I opened. I used to be exclusively a mint in box or mint on card collector, but I had to get this one out, and it was actually the very first full figure review I ever did on my channel. Say what you will about carbonized figures, I know there have been some huge misses in that line, but this figure was a home run. Thanks for watching.